A very good afternoon to you all. We are now coming to the end of a very, very fruitful and very exciting 3 days, I think, for those who arrived earlier, for the officials and all. For us as ministers, it's always short. We are running from one place to the next place, and all in the good work that we have to continue doing as executives in our different countries. Honorable Minister Douglas Mombeshora, it really has been a pleasure for me to be part and parcel of this very important meeting. Other ministers and vice ministers still in attendance. I know that China has already parted because they have a long journey back home. Senior representatives of the United Nations, including from the UNFPA and the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, representatives of governments of PPD member countries, and of course, as I said yesterday, I repeat again to the PPD Secretariat and staff, I'm hoping that you guys had a lot to pick up to take back to the office of the PPD to make sure that you also improve on all aspects of the work that have been done here. Resource persons and experts who enriched our program, including the last panel here. It was very exciting to hear the doctors speaking and actually mobilizing us as Africans in general to make the necessary changes that we need to make in order to create a conducive environment for our people. And as he was speaking, Honorable Minister, I was saying to myself, Africa has got enough human, financial resources to be able to make the changes that are necessary for our people. We must collectively create a conducive environment for those who are in the diaspora to also return, because they've gained a lot of experience. That's the pain of Africa. You've got a lot who are in the diaspora. Then you've got the others who colonized us many years ago coming back again to keep pulling people out of the African continent. We've got to be able to create a conducive environment so that they come back. So we're coming to the end of a very productive 20th International Inter-Ministerial Conference on South-South and Triangular Cooperation in Population and Development, which served as a high-level thematic consultation. Over the past 2 days, we have had reports from countries and expert inputs on the progress that we have made in Global South with implementation of the ICPD Program of Action. We have also considered progress with the implementation of agreements that came after a flow from the ICPD, including the Sustainable Development Goals, our Nairobi ACPD 25 commitments, and the 2013 round of regional conferences in ICPD, including the Addis Ababa Declaration of Population and Development in Africa. The progress that have been reported included legislative reforms in countries to create a legal framework to enable the implementation of population policies, programs that have been implemented, including through South-South and Triangular Cooperation, and very impressive advances in population indicators related to the maternal and child health, adolescents and youth, including teenage pregnancies, sexual and reproductive health and rights, the empowerment of women and gender equity and equality, and ultimately progress towards achieving the demographic dividend. At the same time, a lot still has to be done. Many of our improved indicators are still not at ideal levels. Too many women still die whilst giving birth. Too many teenage girls still become mothers. Too much marginalization and exclusion still happens on a daily basis. New challenges are also emerging, many related to global climate change, which drives natural disasters, increasingly in areas where many of our people live. Increasingly, our countries have come to terms with the consequences of population aging and rapid urbanization. I just want to take just a few seconds in relation to the issue of teenage pregnancy. This really cannot continue in the manner in which it does, and I wish to thank the Philippines in their presentation. There was a lot that we learned there. But for me, as a mother, as a grandmother, the thought of 10-year-old being pregnant, 11-year-old being pregnant, 12-year-old being pregnant is a disaster for us as a people. And I don't think there's any 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old that makes a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old pregnant. Somebody who is an adult somewhere takes a decision which is a very difficult decision to make teenagers at that age to be pregnant. And the message from myself, as I say, sometimes you need to express these things really from a humane and personal point of view so that it can be understood what it means and what it does to families. And also let us pass the message to our traditional leaders, to our traditional healers, to our doctors, to our communities in particular. I think Prof here spoke about us speaking for people and forgetting that these people have been for centuries living a life and they understand and they know some of the things that they have to do. We must step into it and end teenage pregnancies and be able to engage with our communities, because imagine the health risk of 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old. Just think of the health risk and what happens to that child. But more than that, it is also about that child's life almost coming to an end, and because, you know, once a child has had another child, it means that child must start taking care of the child, and how possible is that? As the many messages we've taken away from here, for me, this is one of the things that we really have to work hard and make sure that the rights of young girls and the rights of children is also respected. To be able to timely respond to these matters, we have to strengthen our monitoring and evaluation system, population data collection and sharing, and other activities in partnership with academia and civil society to study, collect evidence that will help us understand critical population dynamics and trends thereof. Our work of the past 2 days has been captured on the proposed Musiwa Tunya Falls, and I still have to go back to Victoria Falls because some people don't know what we're talking about when we say Musi Oa Tunya. We'll get there, we'll get used to it. And the world will have to get used to it too. Our work of the past 2 days already, as I said, has been captured. We will be reading, and we'll be reading the declaration, and I leave that to later. The ability of PPD to mobilize the Global South into conversations like those that we have had over the past 2 days underscores its relevance to the successful implementation of ICPD Program of Action and the Sustainable Goals. Our pledge is to continue and upscale the work, especially the work of Sustainable Development Goals. We should, however, remind ourselves that ultimately, for deliberations like this to be relevant, they should lead to action and change the lives of our people in the cities, in towns, in villages, in farms and small holdings where our people live. We should continue persons with disabilities, older persons, and generally our broader population to ensure that no one is left behind. I will now request Dr. Letitia Adelaide Apia, the PPD board member of the Republic of Ghana, to deliver the Victoria Falls Declaration.